Hi, everyone. I'm David Wojcik for MBOT TV. Our Prime Minister has been globetrotting, trying to find new and expanding opportunities for Canadian businesses, given the current climate with our largest trading partner to the south. In this Zoomcast, we are going to talk about China. China is, of course, way across the pond. It's a very, very long flight to even go there. But they have a population of almost 1.5 billion people. They have a GDP 18 trillion dollars. That's 9 times the size of Canada. So if you're looking for a massive market, China is one of the ones to go to. However, there are barriers to entry in dealing with China. So, what are the trade opportunities with China? What do they have that we need? What do we have that they need to help us with the good, the bad, and the ugly of dealing with China? Is Peter Hawkins. Peter is the Senior Vice President with Mellow Hawk Logistics, a company that provides end-to-end shipping logistics around the globe. He's an award-winning entrepreneur and the chair of the Mississauga Board of Trade International Trade Committee. And he joins me today to talk about business in China. Welcome, Peter.
Well, thank you so much. Nice to see you, Dave.
Peter, we this is a massive, massive market, and probably one of the scariest ones for the uninitiated business person in Canada. When they think about China, say, "Oh my goodness!" Like there's the language barrier, the culture barrier. It's an authoritarian country where we are a democratic country. I mean, the differences in culture and politics and how you do business couldn't be farther apart. Yet we do business with China every single day. So let's cover off some of the barriers that people need to be aware of before they even think about going to China. And I know what you're going to say. Listen, if you want to deal with China, you got to go there. And you need to go there, and we have all kinds of trade missions going to China. Canada has them going. Ontario has them going. We have trade commissioners in there, so it may not be as difficult as we think it is. So, number one, you got to go there. But once you go there, what are the barriers that you need to overcome?
So, and let me just underline go there. You thought you could get me not saying it. And the way to go there is through a trade mission. Okay. It is with the support of the Canadian government. That's very important because it gives you gravitas when you arrive. The thing to remember when you go to China is it is too big for you to grasp. Okay. It is break it down into little regions, break it down into little sectors. You must break it down. Going and you will just be amazed when you will look for a distributor and you will find 60 or 70,000 distributors. Okay.
Wow.
So how do you
Wow.
choose one? So what you need to do is use the expertise of the governments that are going with you. The Canadian Government Trade Commissioner Service will tell you, we know these people are reliable. This is where you start, and this is where you get referrals. So the first thing is break it down, break it down. The next thing is understanding what can be imported. Is it restricted? That's something that is a lot of people think, oh, well, they want to buy my this. I guarantee they're already making it. So you have to figure out why yours is better and also make sure that the government isn't already protecting that part of the marketplace. The intellectual property that is involved in your product, too, is always going to be a question mark. There is a heavy desire to acquire your intellectual property. And the way Chinese law works is the first to register is the winner. And so you make sure that before you make one call to sell anything, that you have done your due diligence and registered your intellectual property in advance before you go, both in China and in Canada. Okay. Then now that you have done all of that and you are there and you're talking to the people and you find some people who are interested and the product is unrestricted, how are you going to get paid? And I will tell you, for large orders, 50% prepayment, 75% prepayment, letter of credit is the only way, because recourse, if you don't get paid, is impossible. Okay, you won't get paid. Use the Trade Commissioner Service, use EDC, make sure you're in place there. And once you have all that in place, then you are indeed ready to go and sell your product. One other thing that I think is very interesting is when you do go, you're going to find an unexpected level of sophistication. And Chinese people are well educated. Chinese business people understand business and understand the value of getting something for the best price. They understand the value of quality, but best price is a huge factor, and relationship is a huge factor. So repeated visits, twice a year, 3 times a year, you need to go. Okay, you need to go and shake the hands.
And I would say that even of course, in Mississauga, we have a very large diaspora of Chinese people, and the Chinese people, when they're doing business with China, they go 2, 3, 4 times a year. And it's not for vacation. It's not to go and visit family, because a lot of times they're going to a part of China that is nowhere near where they were from. They're going there to do business, and they understand they understand the nuance. They understand the importance of going there, shaking somebody's hand, going face to face, or as the Japanese, say, belly to belly, to do business there. So if the Chinese that are indigenous to China figure that they have to go 3 or 4 times a year to do business, then certainly Canadians that are not from China must have to do the same, or maybe even more. What's your opinion?
I think they have to do more, and I think it's to your advantage to bring someone who is Chinese from your office. And I think that is a huge advantage, because there are all kinds of unsaid things and nuances that you'll never get that they could get. And I also think it's important to actually, when you're taking these bite-sized portions of territories and business sectors, I think you have to start small and scale up. The compulsion to buy, just somebody wants 1 million units and you want to deliver 1 million units. If something goes awry and that could break your company, don't do it. Don't do it. Start with 100,000, 50,000, and see how that goes, and even offer to eat the shipping on it, because shipping is not that expensive. Because China has been the world's factory for so long, export containers are, I don't know, $4,000 US max, and containers back to China, which are often empty, you can get very, very small rates. And so that's super important to understand, that there's the logistics of China, because China is ready to do business, is not that hard. It's not bad. And
Peter, you're a huge proponent of having partners in China. Is China one of those jurisdictions that you say, out of all of the other jurisdictions that we do trade in China, that is probably one of the most important ones, that you do have a local business partner? Or is it very much the same no matter where you are?
It's the same no matter where you go. And although China really depends on relationships. What I think is interesting is I have bought many things from China and did everything online, never spoke to a person on the phone or anything. And I'm talking about commercial products. But I've also talked to many people who are importing something from China, and they wanted me to send a truck to the factory. And I don't send that truck. What I do send is one of my people to go directly to the factory in a taxi or a car to find out if the factory exists, and to find out if the product exists, because there is enough scams in between us. And more often than not, I have found that the factory exists, but the order is not ready. And so I don't want to incur any charges by sending a truck or something like that. You only get that knowledge with somebody local. Okay. So if you're using a professional freight forwarder or something like that, they can help you. If they are, but to sell the product, first of all, you've got to go, you've got to show up. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's taxing, that's hard, but it is worth it. The people who do business in China love doing business in China. And we have a lot of complicated times right now, but there is a big push, a big Asia strategy happening now with the federal government. There are trade commissioners there. We don't have, free trade with China, but what we do have is a willingness to do trade. And I think that is something that's very valuable here.
And that particular area of the globe, China and the Asian countries that are around the southern rim of China, is a topic for another day because we are out of time. And of course, most of all, if you are thinking about doing business outside of Canada, seek the advice of a professional, just like our friends at Mellow Hawk. We have been in conversation with Peter Hawkins, the Senior Vice President for Mellow Hawk Logistics. Peter, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.